It is time for us to get into those recliners that didn't exist in the 90s when we started this movie journey. And it is time for us to forget about the sticky floor that did exist in the 90s when we all started this movie journey. And welcome you all in to Popcorn and Beers, where some use tomatoes and others use thumbs. We use the stuff that gets you drunk. Oh, a little bit of a Bublé. This is a star. I cannot pronounce the Czech name for it, but it's from Prague.
Gabagool. Yeah,
very popular out here.
I gotta tell you, man, like, I drink bubble water all day. I drink bubble water all day.
That was a necessary thing to tell us. If I hadn't paused, which I didn't, I interrupted you the whole time, but if I hadn't paused, I would not have known that you drink bubble water all day.
I gotta say.
All right, so you guys like made faces when I talk about the sticky floor. You don't remember that when you were little kids?
Yeah, I remember the sticky floor.
So what reminded me of that, guys, this week was I was at the gym, and I like to do a little recumbent bike for 20 minutes just to warm up, heat the body up a little bit. Yeah. Very light cardio to get started. And what was on the TV? It was Fern Gully.
Oh,
Fern Gully. Yeah.
My name is Betty.
Yeah. And it totally threw me for a loop because it looked good. Like, it was remastered for sure. It was like, the animation is what I'm saying. It looked good. I was like, man, this is kind of cool. I kind of missed this. And then it brought me back to like a core memory of being like maybe 4 or 5 years old and our parents bringing tons of us. And I think Jordan was there. I think he was just a baby at this time. Into the theater, like Auntie Kim, Auntie Kat. These are my family members. You guys don't know them. Don't worry about it. Don't Google it. Anyway, my mom, everyone is in there. And I remember there were no seats in this theater. It was in Fremont, California, because people used to go to the movies on hot days, especially in California. And I remember there was no room left in the theater, and there were kids, including myself, sitting on the floor in front of this giant movie screen in the movie theater, just staring up at this screen for Fern Gully.
Wow.
You remember those days?
No.
I sat on the floor for episode 1. I was there opening day, and we were on the floor in the very
Phantom Menace?
Yep.
Wow. I remember there was a line super long, right? It's funny you said that. You just unlocked another core memory, Josh, for Phantom Menace.
Bro, unlocked a memory.
So sorry, the throat's not lubricated enough for the bros.
Yeah.
Hey.
But I remember my father and all of us walked into the theater not realizing there's a line for the Phantom Menace, right? And then they realized we were there to see the Phantom Menace, and everybody's waiting outside in the line, and my father refused to leave. And the manager's like, no, you got to go wait in line. He goes, no, I was here first. It's not my fault I didn't see the line. No one stopped me. And they literally just gave up. They're like, fuck it, like they're here now, and they're not leaving.
You mean when you pulled into the parking lot and you saw a bunch of weirdos in cloaks with swords and shit? You were like, they might.
It wasn't like that back then, man. It wasn't like that. That's a thing now. It's like, I don't know, man. Everybody, every group feels emboldened, and I don't know that there's anything wrong with that. It's okay to be weird. Like, well,
there's anything wrong with that.
There are some groups that should not be emboldened, but we don't talk about those groups on this show.
Yeah.
They usually march through Nashville, Tennessee.
There's not fine people on both sides. Quote.
So let's get into our butter on tops, which got scattered. We scatter fired our butter on tops this week, but I'll start with what we told the audience our butter on top was going to be. Our original butter on top was going to star Scarlett Johansson, Channing Tatum, Woody Harrelson, Ray Romano in Fly Me to the Moon. The true but not so true story of the Apollo 11 moon mission. Our goal was to beat Russia, and I will say this: in a lot of movies, they've been struggling to do this. That is not what I was expecting to see out of you. But
that's no moon.
Or maybe it's the dark side of the moon. 2 jokes in one. But a lot of movies have been failing to land the plane this year. Failing to land the plane, right? And this movie actually did a good job of it, and I wasn't anticipating it. I was like, man, I don't think they're going to be able to land this. I think it's going to be bad. I think let's just cut it somewhere, end it 2 hours and some change. And they actually did land the plane. And I thought the ending was good, and I thought the justification was good. and it's gonna make a lot of people happy and a lot of people mad at the same time, which I love about this movie. Jim Rash killed it. Jim Rash is an ancillary character. He plays the director of what was going to be the staged moon landing if America was to fail on its mission to get to the moon, and he was hilarious. He was so good in that role of the director from very beginning of the movie, because he does make a cameo at the very beginning before he actually gets into character, into role later on in the movie. And it was great. Like, from that moment all the way to where they bring him back. It was fantastic. Channing Tatum is Channing Tatum, but Scarlett Johansson, she can be typecast in this role as much as she wants because she's been great at it. Like, she's just really good at this role of the cute, what are you doing over here, bub? Like, leading lady. Like, she's so good at it. Like, she kills it every single time in that role. And
does she project in this movie? Because, like, in her Black Widow role, she kind of like barely moves her mouth at all. She kind of talks like this, like almost a whisper, but not quite. Is that what she does in this movie too?
Yep, whole time.
She's just like, look at my lips, and I'm just gonna talk real soft.
We get some tears. Yeah, it's the pouty dialogue.
Yeah,
and she delivers it every single time, multiple scenes, and it's their story's just kind of okay. The rom-com element of it, it's just kind of okay. It's good and bad. It really made me mad about the lack of separation of church and state in our country since we've been founded on, a separation of church and state and to get away from religious persecution. It's all throughout this movie about why NASA almost didn't get funded and what we're actually doing it for and what brings us closer to a higher path. And I was just like, dude, shut up. Like, you know what's made me pull away from religion? Psycho-religious people. That's what's made me do it. That's it. Nothing else. Nothing else. Just idiots that are psychopaths that try to misquote things that they think are true that they heard on Nickelodeon's Evangelical Hour. And you get a lot of that in this. Sorry, Nickelodeon took a stray there.
Do they have
it's
one of
okay.
those?
I don't know. They abuse children, though.
Oh,
but
hey! They did that.
It's cool because it goes into how NASA got its funding when its funding was going to get cut after JFK. It goes into the contingency plan just in case, and it does do a decent job of telling us why there had to be a contingency plan during this time. One of my favorite quotes from this movie was, "The truth is still the truth, even if nobody believes it, and a lie is still a lie, even if everyone believes it." And I was like, thank you. Like, that is the perfect quote for where we're at right now.
Oh, yeah.
So I give this one a popcorn and 1. Now, we had, again, a scatter fire, if you will, butter on top. So, Jordan, why don't you tell us what you watched, another new release?
Watch those. You don't know about it, buddy. Over to you.
I took my little nieces and nephews to go see Despicable Me Part 4. And, as far as fourth installments, especially in a kids animated series, this was actually pretty good. It was actually all right. I had very, very, very low expectations going into this, and I was pretty surprised. The last Despicable Me Part 3 was not very good. The last Minions, the Minions Part 2 was not good.
Oh yeah, they got their own movies.
Oh my god,
I
forgot there was a Minions 2.
It's very bad. So if you
I heard Minions 1 was great though. Did Minions
fantastic.
1 make like $1 billion?
Oh, it's fantastic. I love it. So
you know how Pharrell did the Despicable Me song?
Yeah, happy.
Every time you mention Despicable Me or Minions, I pronounce it the way he would, like, Minions 2. Like, that's the soundtrack song.
He did produce this movie's soundtrack song and stuff as well, and it starts right in the beginning. It's a good song. It's pretty catchy. Pulls you in very well. There is a Dance Dance Revolution ode to Dragon Forces Through the Fire and Flames, which was pretty cool. So for all my Guitar Hero people out there, you'll like that. The voice acting is great. You can really tell whose voice it is, and their personality comes through. Will Ferrell is the addition to this one, and he's fantastic. The animation somehow for Illumination has kind of been cutting edge, but they've kind of got to a stagnant place. You just kind of get used to things when they're around for so long, but they somehow got better. Honestly,
Nice.
There's like a fluidity, especially in like the action sequences and stuff. That's like it kind of trips you out at times. Yeah, just a good movie. It's funny. There's things for adults, for kids. It does get a little carried away at the end. I mean, don't get me wrong. This is still a fourth installment of an animated series. So I'm gonna give this. I'm gonna give it a popcorn and one. Actually, you know, it kind of makes me wish that it could stand on its own. But you do kind of have to see the other three.
I'm sure.
Not necessarily Minions 2, you could skip that. But you got to see the other three Despicable Me's. And part 1 is great. Part 2 is okay. Part 3 is awful. And so this one goes back to being okay. So popcorn and 1 for this one.
Pop and 1 for the Steve Carell vehicle that only makes him richer and richer and richer.
Yeah, dude.
Making a lot of money. Making a good amount of money.
These animated movies, they could do them forever, right? I mean, if Bradley Cooper wants to, he could play Rocket Raccoon forever.
Forever. Yeah.
Forever. And no one's going to say anything. We don't need a new Rocket. Like, we just don't.
Honestly, that would be a good one to sell your rights to. Like, he could just go talk to the AI for a while, and now he will be forever. A little Rocket Raccoon speech thing.
Yeah.
You can make a lot of money doing that.
Yeah, I don't. Let's not get into
Skynet.
Skynet just yet. Let's let Skynet do their thing on the side here. I mean, we're already quickly destroying ourselves. We don't need to expedite it.
Yeah, they don't need us to be their think tank.
All right. So our last butter on top of this week was Longlegs. A thriller. I don't want to call it a horror, though it is labeled in the horror genre. It's more of a thriller, psychological thriller, methodical thriller. And Nicolas Cage steals this film from Maika Moore. I think that's how you pronounce her name. Or, pardon me, Maika Monroe. I think that's how you pronounce her name. But he is nearly unrecognizable as Longlegs. And he crushes it. Like, he is allowed to just go Cage. And it's fantastic, and it fits the character as he dives into the cagiest of cages he could ever get. And it's it's trippy. It's very True Detective, Zodiac style. And you get some Rain Man elements from Lee Harker, who is the main character, again, played by Maika Monroe. And in it, she is an FBI agent who takes a divergent path from the other victims of Longlegs. And she compartmentalizes how she became a victim of Longlegs, who is still around, still torturing families, and they cannot figure out how he is a part, or the character, they don't know if it's a he or a she, is a part of these murders, because there's never any DNA evidence, fingerprints left behind. So somehow he's getting these crimes to happen. And it takes some supernatural turns, but overall, I think that this is going to be the hit horror movie of the year. I really do. Or psychological thriller of the year. I think this movie really proves why we need to continue to fund independent film. And this will film this studio for a while. It's this studio's #1 grossing film. But in it, you also get Blair Underwood playing an FBI agent, and he does a fantastic job as the head of the bureau that she's located at. It's a journey that I think you need to really pay attention, and I think if you really pay attention, you'll get it right away. Like, you will understand what is going on. But one of the creepier quotes was, "Our prayers protect us from the devil. Are you saying your prayers?" And she responds with, "No, I haven't done it for years, Mom. They scared me." And she goes, "Good. Prayers don't solve shit." In the middle of the movie. And you find out why that quote comes from her later on. Overall, I'm going to give Longlegs a popcorn and 2, especially because it's not really my ideal genre. I think, Jordan, you will really love it because it's very True Detective-y, and I know you're a True Detective guy.
Well, I'll be running to watch this one. Very excited. I didn't know anything about this one. I didn't even know Nicolas Cage was in it. I heard the name, and I kind of knew, like, its genre, you know, somehow or way. But, yeah, cool.
Yeah, all I did before this film was I started reading about it, but I didn't read any of the cast. I didn't watch any trailers. Like, I didn't want it to get spoiled because sometimes, especially with indie films,
Yeah.
The second you watch a trailer, you're like, okay, got it. I know what's going to happen. Because they have to pack something to get you into the theater, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think that's the case with this. And Nicolas Cage is great. Like, he's so good.
Nicolas Cage.
All right, so Josh,
Yeah.
you decided to get us drunk on Al this week. And our drunk classic was UHF.
Yeah. And this is a movie that I saw after its time for the first time. I was in high school. I guess it wasn't that far off. No, 89? Yeah, way off. Anyway, old movie. And I just watched it once when I was a teenager, and I remember it being funny, but I barely remember it. So watching it was almost like the first time again. I forgot Michael Richards was in it. And he's almost might as well be the main character, kind of. I mean, it's about him. It's not really about Weird Al. He's the main guy, but it's about him doing a job no one else could have done. Like, no, that was a role. That was a perfect pour, whether you like it or not.
Who took my mop? Where's my mop?
It was cool. Nice to see the woman from SNL, the romantic lead. I forgot her name. I'm sorry. She was one of my first loves as a child. I just loved her on SNL. I like every woman from SNL. That's my Hollywood crush. Okay, if you're ever asking, Maya Rudolph, Tina Fey. If you're funny, I love you.
Amy Poehler.
Yeah. Anyway, funny movie. I like all the fake commercials. Very I don't know. It's really funny, and it reminds me of a lot of things that are going on now-ish with comedy or certain types of silliness. It's a stupid movie, but I was having fun the whole time. Popcorn too.
You repeatedly described it as prophetic.
Yeah.
What was prophetic?
Prophetic or prophetic?
Just the style of the fake commercial. They didn't invent that. Obviously, SNL did a lot, and people have done it before throughout TV. But it's really on the line with what's still funny somehow. Like, not every part of the movie was like this, but like the little sketches that were just popped in, non sequitur jokes, like out of nowhere.
Because they're wacky.
I was also a little buzzed when I watched it, so I don't know exactly what I meant by prophetic. I don't know.
He's like, I sent you that text while I was sitting on the toilet during my 15-minute pause break. Well, what did you see that was prophetic or prophetic, however you want to pronounce that? Potato, potato, tomato, tomato.
This was a really funny movie, and this is what I expected going into it, watching it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thoroughly entertained. Michael Richards is just a physical comedy genius.
Yeah,
this is
genius.
This had to have been pre-Seinfeld, right?
Oh yeah. Like,
yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah. I mean,
Seinfeld's
this is
like 91,
1989.
92, 93,
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah,
But
it's Kramer
at least a
on
year
steroids, basically. Like, it's just, this is where they got that character from, you know? The jokes don't always hit. And that's what I love. They don't always hit when you expect it. It's like, oh, you kind of think this is where the joke's going. They're setting it up in a very obvious way. And then it's just like something completely... They just flip it on its head, but it's still funny and it still works. The Crazy Eddie's Car Emporium thing, I love that. I love that. It's like, I'm going to club this seal if you don't get down here and buy a car. That was great. I rewound that and watched that like 2 or 3 times. Conan the Librarian was fantastic as well. This is one of those movies where it just seems like you could highlight and just pick something different every time you watch it. Be like, wow, that's my new favorite part of this movie.
That's my new favorite part of this movie. This is the one now, not the last one. This one.
I'm gonna get T-shirts made. I'm getting you one, bitch.
I'm getting a Spatula City T-shirt.
Yeah, come on. Wheel of Fish, stupid. You're so stupid.
That was so funny. She just sits there and looks sad. Why are you so stupid? That was funny.
So
That joke would
quotable.
fly today, I think.
Yeah.
I think if the right person did that joke, that one would fly right now.
This is just so stupid. It reminds me now that you mention it, Comedy Bang Bang, in a sense. Like it's crazy.
Or I think you should leave now.
Sure, yeah.
Family Guy did ripped off that exact same thing where it's like, okay, you can have the boat or you can have the mystery box. He's like, well, a boat is a boat, but a mystery box could be anything, even a boat. But I really like this movie. This was fun. It's like a fun summer, a good comedy. Popcorn and one.
So it's a popcorn and one. It was fine. It was funny. That scene was very funny. The scene that Jordan mentioned. Lots of 80s tropes going on. There's no way this loser can come up with this money trope from the 80s, like hardcore.
Yeah.
That was funny, and it brings you right back to a time when that's all that you needed to make a movie was like, okay, who's the loser? Who's the jock that's going to pick on the loser? And how's the loser going to come out triumphant? Like, there was a period where that's all you needed, and it's called the 80s. But
we've got to save the camp. Come on, guys. Let's do a break dance. Come back. Come back.
It's a brotage. I was surprised this movie actually didn't have a montage. That was the most shocking part of this film, and that there wasn't a montage. I did learn about a lot of different kinds of pizza while he was being kidnapped. Sardine pizza, regular pepperoni pizza, sometimes just a pizza with nothing on it but sardines, like that. And I could see kidnappers getting very irritated with that exact situation. Where it's like, does this guy ever shut up?
Oh, dude. That line has been stuck in my head since I saw it when I was younger. It's going to be blow.
It was very stupid. Like, let me be very clear. It's a very stupid movie, but there is humor in stupidity. There really is. And how did they afford all that stuff in their apartment on a burger flipper salary, by the way?
Right.
Because their apartment was pretty decked out with some cool stuff. Like, that's definitely a party pad.
That's Reaganomics, bro.
I'm going to give this a popcorn and one. Weird Al was good, but he definitely wasn't the star. There's a lot of things to like in this movie. There's a lot of things that make you raise your eyebrow a little bit for the time. But it was funny. It made you laugh. Josh, what were you watching this week? Outside of, Kramer beating up people with a mop.
Well, I caught, let's be honest, 80% of Top Gun this week. And I was sitting here thinking, like, we've reviewed Top Gun before. Like, it hasn't been a classic yet.
Can we pull back the curtain, Josh, as you're giving your review? Is that okay? Can we pull back the curtain?
I don't even own curtains.
So before Josh gave this review, he goes, "Yeah, I watched Top Gun," and I said the whole thing. He goes, "Yeah, definitely the whole thing, but I think we've reviewed it before." And I did that because Josh has this awesome habit of getting on here being like, "I watched about 80% of this film, but you're gonna get the gist of it." And I'm like, "Damn it. This is literally specifically why I asked that follow-up question."
Well, because of that.
But it's true. In this case, you can watch 80% of Top Gun and you get the gist of it.
I mean, you get the gist of it. Because of my only real point about this movie. Like,
he's frozen.
He rage quit.
He did rage quit.
Hopefully still recording
he slammed the laptop, split it out.
Jeez. Come on, baby.
It's hot out there, huh? You guys had like a 150-degree day.
Whatnot?
Sorry, Josh. There was nothing. We heard nothing you said. You were frozen the whole time.
Yeah. I caught that. I watched the gist of it. Whatever. The only real note I have is that it's so every cop show, every TV show on primetime right now for the olds or whatever, or even for you. I mean, I like Rookie, I guess, once in a while.
For the olds. Dad. But for the ones that need an internet literacy class, like that group of people?
Hawaii Five-O's new thing, Magnum P.I., all this. They're basically, all these shows are kind of just trying to make a Tom Cruise type
MacGyver
in a role like this where he kicks ass and cool things happen. And they have a budget for airplanes and stuff. So it's definitely the precursor to daytime TV for men.
Yeah.
And but even
Daytime
watching
TV for your blues.
Get Grandma out of here.
That was great because you sounded like a robot devil.
You got that
It,
right,
like, cut out.
Oh.
Anyway, watching the movie again, even if you've never seen it, which
Oh
is
my
ridiculous.
This is like a chopped and screwed review.
The soundtrack makes this movie timeless. The soundtrack is what makes this movie timeless, I think. Yeah. End of story.
Yeah.
Popcorn and one.
Yeah. Highway to the Danger Zone. Lost that love and feeling.
Down, 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 down.
Wait, which one am I missing?
Yeah. Actually, a little story. My dad was a bodybuilder competitively younger days, and he used the Top Gun soundtrack as his like posing song.
Oh, nice. For his poses, for when he
Yeah.
was in competition, yeah.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Anyway, see ya. I'm leaving.
All right, Jordan, outside of Despicable Me 4, what was going on your template?
I just watched a lot of TV. I didn't watch any movies this week.
What are the hot shows that you can't give a rating to just yet that the audience should be kept up with?
Yeah, the boys. The
boys.
The boys is what would you call this? The pre-finale episode aired. So next penultimate. The next episode is the finale, and I don't know how it's gonna land. It seems like this isn't really like a big major reveal season. That was last season. This season, it's a good one though. It's good. There's a lot going on. It's good stuff. Obviously, everybody in the world, we're all watching House of the Dragon, I think.
House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
It sounds like a Bruce Leroy movie. House of Dragons. It does sound like a Bruce Lee movie though.
Oh no!
Welcome to the House of the Dragon.
We all watching Dem Thrones. We all know.
There we go.
We've got the Star Wars, what's that called? The Acolyte. We're all watching that. We got Receiver on Netflix, highlighting a couple of 49ers, so that's close to the heart there, watching that. Man, there's a lot of good TV on right now. I'm probably missing something else that I'm watching. It's all good stuff. I think it's all going well right now, so...
That's what's up.
Nice, yeah. So next week we'll probably have a review for The Acolyte as it comes to a close.
And The Boys, yeah.
Yeah, you will have a review for The Boys.
Oh,
I am so far behind.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know. Do you guys have this? Well, Josh doesn't. Jordan, do you have this thing where you watch a show with your wife and and like you can't keep going forward unless she's with you because she's watching it with you and she'll know because you share the account?
Yeah, but if a show is really good, I just tell her she won't like it. I just lie to her. I'm just like, yeah, there's no cheesy love story. There's no horrid
you have zero etiquette. Yeah. There's zero etiquette. You're gonna hate this
bullshit you like.
Yeah.
It's like when you don't want your wife to share your meal with you. When you order at a restaurant, you're like, "Oh, it's terrible, babe. I'm gonna have to finish it because we're gonna pay for it. But it's real bad."
Exactly.
That's funny. I didn't see that.
When I'm really hungry, I'm purposely ordering something I know you don't like with extra of that on it.
This is the world we live in, babe. All right. Well, I watched the new Lily Gladstone film on Apple TV called Fancy Dance, and it was fine. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. I think it's an important story, and it's a story that they've tried to tell in a couple different documentaries, and that's the story of how many people go missing on Native American lands and how difficult it is on reservations and what they have to do to survive, to make money, how the government treats them in a lot of situations. And it dives into that. Now, Lily Gladstone is great. She's an amazing actress. She's never not going to be good, I don't think. I don't think there's going to be a film where she doesn't crush it, right? But overall, for the movie, like I said, it's an important story. I'm glad I watched it. However, was it a great movie? And the answer is going to be no. It was not a great movie. I think it's dope that Lily Gladstone starred and produced it. Obviously, she is Native, and she is using her platform to spread awareness. She uses a ton of Native American dialect in this film. So there's a lot of it. There's subtitles. You got to pay attention and make sure you're reading it. Not throughout. They do English as well. But it's a story of her sister going missing and the FBI and the police and the Native American police not really doing much in way of trying to find her sister, and her having to adopt or take on the care of her niece. And of course that goes awry. And the story takes off from there.
Right.
There are elements of kidnapping. There are elements of foster care. There are elements of social work. It's you know, if you have triggers related to anything I just mentioned, it's going to be a tough film for you to watch. But it is a popcorn and one. It's another movie that kind of has an ending where you're left to think about what happens, right? How does this movie end? Because they end it on a scene where you're like, okay, that's beautiful, but where do these stories end up? You know, after this scene is over, where do these stories go? And I'm not fond of that. I think Jordan was like preaching the other a couple shows ago. What's up with this lack of closure in movies and TV shows lately? Like, why can I not get closure? And here, I think you get closure, but I kind of want it like in your face. Like, just tell me exactly what happened.
And then everyone was happy forever.
All right, so popcorn and one for me there. Josh, what were you going to review next?
Oh, I just have one more thing, I'll tell you, and it's Bear Season 3. I finished it up, watched it all this week. Oh boy, it's Popcorn and 3, once again, Slammer Jammer show. I really, really like it, great acting. It's just, every character gets their own little piece, and man, it's just a wonderful, beautiful show. I love what you were talking about last time, where he meets the dickhead chef, and they have their moment.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, that's something I think a lot of people have, that they just, a situation with someone or whatever, a traumatic moment they don't have any closure with. And then does he get closure with it? I don't think so, but maybe he realizes he doesn't need it. You know, that's what you hope. Or
no,
whatever.
I don't think he wins that interaction. That's what I was asking.
He does either.
This week.
No.
I think he totally lost that interaction.
He definitely lost the interaction because there wasn't even a conflict. So he's mad about a conflict that wasn't there. Mm-hmm. The other guy's like, I don't think about you at all.
That depends on how you perceive it, right?
It depends on how you perceive it.
Yeah, in his eyes, like in the guy that he has the interaction with, he sees what he was doing as tutelage, as development, as
absolutely
you're not where you are.
Yeah, and that's the style. That's the style in the kitchen. That's the style in a lot of endeavors, especially when it's at that level of excellence. Sports, of course, and all these things. And I recognize that there's a place for that sort of coaching method, but having gone through it from the other end and being, in this case, for me, calm, like, I think there's better ways to coach. It's just true. It's just that this is the easiest way to do it, is to be a dickhead. So I understand.
Joel McHale. That's the name we were trying. It's Joel McHale. We were trying to think of him last week. But
are you
coaching through fear and coaching through anxiety? You know, I think there's better ways to do it. But that's not the point of the episode or the scene. That's just really interesting. Anyway, the rest of the show is great too. I love how it's sealed up. I love Tina's episode. I love it. Popcorn free.
Yes, no, that's the episode I talked about as well.
Oh, the music.
Liza.
Oh, sorry. That's all I got to say.
No, the music is great. The Claire Bear episode where the cousins show up to the hospital and she's like, "Are you really doing this at my work right now?"
Yeah.
Why are you yelling? So there's a lot to love in this show. There's a lot of elements. If I had time, I wish I had infinite time. We don't have infinite time, and I'm gonna get to that here in just a second with another show I watched. But I would like to watch this show a couple different times because there's so much there. Yeah. There's so much to pull apart, to piece together. There's so much nuance to the writing. It's so intricate. It's so beautiful. The story is well acted that you need to watch it a couple times to make sure you're fully taking it in.
They take you on a ride. It's very poetic. Every shot is important. You know what I mean? It's not. They don't play around. They really throw down, don't you, Chef?
All right, so the next show I watched was Dark Matter on Apple TV. I crushed this, and I don't know why, because it wasn't a great show. It got a lot of good reviews. I'm going to have to watch a new show here with Gyllenhaal, Jake Gyllenhaal. He has a show on Apple TV that's supposedly great, but I'm kind of waiting so I can binge watch it to make up for this atrocity. I couldn't even watch the Abraham Lincoln show on Apple TV. I watched one episode and I was out. I was like, I can't watch this. It's terrible. The acting's bad. The writing's bad. It's bad. But this one I watched, and it's a lot of it's because I was interested to see what happens with Jennifer Connelly's story. I was also interested because Dark Matter is the story of a physics professor or physics scientist or physics creator. If you're catching my drift, it's a multiverse story. There's a lot of different stories going on, and it's a time travel multiverse story. And what happens with these is they get confusing and they never land the plane. Ever, because there's always so many strings in so many different directions that you have to tie up that you fail to tie up. However, Jennifer Connelly, ageless and amazing.
Ageless and amazing by Maybelline.
She crushes it. Joel Edgerton is fine. Like, he's, a poor man's Pedro Pascal at this point. And he does all right. It's irritating. The character he plays is irritating. The story is irritating. The choices made are irritating. Everything about it is irritating, really. It's just going to annoy you. There's so many, clues as to, this isn't who you think it is. He just lets his son eat peanuts. He feeds them to him, and his son has a peanut allergy. Something you would absolutely never do as a parent. And I'm like, that's a dead giveaway. That's not the dude. No one would poison their child like that, intentionally.
Right.
All right? So, sorry. No one that loves their child would poison their child like that intentionally. It's a time travel / multiverse show that beats itself into submission and takes a great concept and ruins it for the fans at the very end. And they also try to spin one of the worlds into a new thing to try to make a spin-off or a season 2. I'm just not looking forward to that at all. It also gives you zero closure on the family and where they end up. So, popcorn for Dark Matter.
For multiversal stuff like that, have you heard of that one that's German called The Cave or something?
Yeah, but I never watched it on Netflix.
My dad told me I need to watch that too because it's one of those. He said they really nail that stuff. It's time travel back and forth, and you go in the cave and you time travel. I don't know, but people have all these diagrams and shit about how wacky the timeline is, but it makes sense. It's wild. Anyway.
Okay. Well, I watched another movie that I had been wanting to see for quite some time, and again, I never watched a trailer on this. It's more of an indie film again, and it stars Willem Defoe. Willem Defoe is one of my favorite actors ever.
Yes.
To be clear. He's one of those actors that if he's in it, I'm probably going to watch it, and odds are I'm going to enjoy it. Even if it's a trippy, off-the-wall movie like The Lighthouse. Willem Defoe, or Poor Things, to be honest. Willem Defoe is just good. He's just good. He's just so good. He is a masterclass in everything he does. Even his interviews are great.
Yes.
So Inside stars Willem Defoe playing playing an art thief who breaks into this super secure home of an artist with all this multi-million-dollar art in it to include a self-portrait. And he gets trapped, taking too much time to find the self-portrait. As everything goes haywire, the house locks itself. Now, here's the twist. The artist is out of town, and they don't know when he will return.
Oh.
So he is trapped in this house with no food. And when all the alerts get set off, it shuts off the water. It shuts off the gas. It shuts off everything in the home. So you start to see his process and everything he goes through. What he uses as a toilet. You get what he uses. What's up, Scooby? You get what... Oh, is that Josh's side of the world?
Yep.
You get what he uses as a toilet, how he gets food. The artist has these very exotic fish. and you see what he does with those fish. You see his plight in getting out, but also Willem Defoe, as the art thief, fancies himself an artist, and you start to see him slip into psychosis, and he starts to put on performances and shows. He falls in love with a girl because he can only get closed caption television on the cameras around the apartment. So he's just watching silent closed caption television, and he creates these stories for each one of the people that he sees on closed caption television. Basically, the apartment staff that walks in and out every single day that don't have any way to know that he is trapped within there. It becomes a fairly voyeuristic journey with this character as he walks through their lives, argues, has fake relationships, and you see the impact of dehydration, starvation, and desperation throughout this story. Overall, I give it a popcorn and 1. But it was good just for Willem Defoe and his ability to play the Green Goblin in this movie. No, I'm just playing. All right, so Jordan, it is your drunk classic this week. What do you have the crew watching?
Well, I'm going to take us to a thriller. It's somewhat of a horror suspense thriller, starring R.I.P. Mr. Paul Walker.
Okay. Is it
and
cellular?
co-starring Steve Zahn. This is called Joyride.
Oh, that's Chris Evans.
Joyride.
Oh my God, Candy Cane.
Candy cane.
Is it scary?
It's very sweaty.
It is very sweaty.
It's a very sweaty movie.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Lots of this is a remake, by the way. Joyride's a remake, and there's also been a lot of cartoons that have made fun of it. And one of the funny scenes is like they do this in American Dad, and the truck driver goes, "You ever see a 300-pound man come out of his overalls like a phoenix rising from the ashes?" All right, so we have a sequel as our butter on top this week. We have Twisters. Not 1, not 2, but it's Fire Twister. Would it be a cyclone if it's a fire? Or is
No,
that
cyclone's
only
water, isn't it?
I know it is. But now we're introducing an element of fire.
Okay. I would call
does that
it
become something else?
I think it's called a nightmare.
Yeah.
Well,
What a
hopefully
shock
this
video.
movie isn't a nightmare. It stars Glenn Powell, who's had mixed reviews here, in Anyone But You, getting one of our worst reviews ever by me. And then we had Killer, right?
Hitman.
Which got Hitman, pardon me, which got great reviews from both myself and Jordan. Josh still needs to watch that. It's free on Netflix. I highly recommend.
Fun movie.
But Jordan, where can they reach us should the audience choose to follow us, subscribe, like, rate, and review like they should be doing every single week?
All of that. On X at Popcorn and Beer or on Instagram at Popcorn and Beers.
Very active this week. We appreciate you joining us each and every week where we bring you the hit movies and the hit reviews. We'll see you at the movies. As always, you get the popcorn and we've got the beer.
Mm-hmm.